Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to share a story of how I became fluent in English and also share some of my tips on how I learned English, what helped me. Also, if you are from a different country, a non-English speaking country, or if you are from an English speaking country, please share it in the comments below. I'm really curious where my subscribers are listening me from. So yeah, just share what country you're from and where what your native language is. And so before I jump into giving you some tips on how you can learn English easier, I thought I'd share a little bit of my story how I learned English. So if you have never watched my videos before, I was born in Russia. I grew up in Russia, and in grade 1, when I was 7 years old, I started school. And in school, English classes were mandatory. So I was learning English twice a week for the whole duration of a school. Now at school, I learned a lot of vocabulary. So like I had a good comprehension. I could read English, but I didn't realize how bad my verbal English is. Not until I came to Canada. So when I was 15 years old, my parents decided to move to Canada. And when we first landed in Canada and came out of the airport and I started listening to English speech, I quickly realized that I didn't understand anything that anyone was saying to me, and also when I was trying to talk back, no one understood what I was saying. And that was quite a big shock, because here I thought I know a lot of English words. I thought my comprehension was really good, so I thought I would be okay, and I wasn't. I couldn't understand anything at all. And so that brings me to my tips that I wanted to share, like how you can learn English and what I used to learn English when I first came to Canada. So tip number 1 is to switch all of your electronics into English language. So your phone, your laptop, your TV. It can be a little bit confusing at the beginning, but as you use it more, your brain starts getting used to seeing English words, and also you learn a lot of English words this way. So that's the easiest way you can start learning English, is like literally just switch all your electronics to English, because you use it every day, everywhere. And next thing is to start listening to English speech. So listening, you might be good at reading English and might be good at knowing a lot of words, but listening and trying to comprehend when someone native English speaker talks is very different. So one way to go about it is you can watch English TV, English channels. If you don't have English TV at home, YouTube is your next best thing. I mean, YouTube has a lot of creators that speak English. And if you don't want to watch a YouTuber, watch documentaries. That's what I did when I first came to Canada. I watched a lot of BBC documentaries, and I know BBC is like British English, so the accent can throw you off a little, but it's still English. I've learned a lot of words just by watching those documentaries. That brings me to my next tip. So when we first came to Canada, my dad could speak English, but my sister, myself, and my mom were pretty bad. So we labeled every object at home with sticky notes. So when you open the fridge, there should be a sticky note and everything that says in English what it is. So for example, if it's corn, bread, meat. That way, every time you open a pantry, your fridge, things in the bathroom, you automatically just forced to look at the English words, and over time you will remember them, I promise you. So we literally had every single object that we could find that had a sticky note. Even windows had a window sticky note on it that said window. So that's one way to learn words. Another way, increase your comprehension. If you're just starting to learn English, I recommend reading children's books. I will link below some of my favorite. When we first came to Canada, we discovered Amazon, so my dad went a little crazy and ordered a lot of books from Amazon, and so I started reading children's books because they were quite easy to comprehend. The story was simple. And then later I graduated. As my English improved, I started reading more books. And so if you are on sort of medium to advanced level English, I recommend starting reading motivational books. And the reason I don't recommend fiction books instead is because fiction books use a lot of kind of complicated, convoluted English a lot of the times. The sentences are really long because they describe things in a lot of details. Whereas motivational books, for example, one of my favorites is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, uses a very simple yet advanced English that is easy to follow, easy to comprehend, and the structure, sentence structure is very like correct but to the point. So I will link some of my favorite motivational books also down below, so check them out. And by far the biggest problem I had when I first came to Canada is conversational English, right? I couldn't say anything. I was terrified of like going to a store and trying to talk to someone because I knew my accent was quite heavy at the time. I was speaking with strong Russian accent and I was very embarrassed of it, and it was just terrifying. So one way to overcome that is first start practicing words when you by yourself at home. I recommend starting with words that have sounds that are not familiar to you, like you don't have in your native language. So for me, in Russian, we don't have th sound, so like th. So when I came to Canada, I took a dictionary, wrote down all the words I could find that started with th, and I would just sit in my room and speak them out, like talk out loud, like just read them out loud. So that way your tongue, like your muscle, your face muscle, like your tongue muscle, and also your brain get used to that sound. Once you're sort of comfortable with that and practice enough words, I recommend going on Fiverr.com, and there you can pay $5 to $10 to a native English speaker to chat with you via Skype about anything in English. And that's a great way to practice because A, they're really far away, so they don't know you. You're probably never gonna meet them in real life. B, you're paying them to listen to your English, so you don't have to feel shy, don't have to feel embarrassed, just have a conversation with them. And I recommend coming up with a topic beforehand. So say, for example, today I want to learn more words or like learn how to talk about weather or nature or something. So write that down, write the words you want the native speaker to say out loud. If you like struggling saying weather, ask that person to say, hey, can you say weather a couple times so I can listen to you how you pronounce it. That way you can also reduce your accent. That's how I reduced my accent, is just by listening. Other people listen very carefully how they pronounce it. And sometimes I would ask my friends, even now, like I still have a little bit of an accent, but even now, like my English speaking friends, I would be like, hey, can you repeat that word slowly so I can mimic it, right? And it's not always comes out correct, but whatever, like might as well try, right? Like repetition is key. And finally, obviously the best way to learn English or any other language for that matter is to immerse yourself into that environment. And so if you have that ability, I strongly recommend check out some maybe abroad schools. Even if you go for a week, it will give your language skill like a significant boost, just being in the environment where everyone speaks the language. And if you don't have that opportunity, because obviously it can be quite expensive, the next best thing is, like I said, find someone in your city or like through Fiverr. They can talk to you via Skype. In your city, you can go to like local university. A lot of the times they will have exchange students that do speak English, and just don't feel shy. Approach them and say, hey, I'm learning English. Do you mind having a conversation with me for 2-3 minutes? And that's how I started in Canada. I would go to coffee shops in the mornings and I would see if there's people like my age, and I would approach them and say, hey, I am a newcomer. I just wanted to see if you guys can have a little bit of a conversation. And then I would just chit chat, like, where are they from, like, are they studying, are they students, are they working? And that gave me confidence to speak fluently. And obviously being in Canada for now many years, I've finished university here, so now English is not a problem for me, but at the beginning it was a big challenge. So if you are on the journey of learning a language, good luck. I hope you like this video. I can talk about this forever and ever, so if you liked it, please comment below. Find me on Instagram, send me some requests if you want to see more videos like this, and I would love for you to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.